thing. I was giving an example of how you can use like a government intervention to make a free market trade something, which is what cap and trade or like carbon taxes would do. I wasn't necessarily speaking to the stranger of that individual thing, but
yeah, but that's a good thing to focus.
Sure, yeah, we can focus on that as well. Yeah, we can focus on that as well. So the first thing, this is going to sound mean, but I'm very realistic. There needs to be a better argument than just it disproportionately impacts the poor. Always
left to start.
Yeah, it might be, but
it's the same argument you made to justify your swing to the left at the beginning of our discussion. You said that you were looking at economic inequalities that disproportionately affected the poor. So I can't see why people should be made about this. Honestly, I can't see why you could base your argument that it was morally equivalent for you to swing to the left. I mean, disproportionate effects on the poor. And we can't use that argument in the situation that I'm presenting it right now.
Well, because it depends on if we think it's a condition that ought to be remedied or not. For instance, if I walk, around and I see homeless people, I'm like, man, this is really sad. We ought to spend more money on homeless people because it seems like they're disproportionately affected by the living conditions. And then somebody says, oh, well, do you think we should still lock up, rapists and murderers? Are they disproportionately poor? I probably say, well, yeah, we probably should. I go, well, isn't that hypocritical? Well, no, I think that rapists and murderers should probably be in jail, but we can also help the homeless at the same time. I think that just helping the poor isn't an argument like a blank check to do every possible thing to satisfy poorer people. It's going to be kind of from
so it's the poor. Everyone who's poor is not a victim. Some people who are poor are psychopathic perpetrators. And it's very useful to distinguish them. I was making a much more specific argument. My argument was that the fastest way out of absolute privation for the world's bottom billion people is through cheap energy.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Sorry, just working my way towards that. Yeah, I just want to say that just because something targets the poor is not necessarily an argument against it. Another
it targets them, and it depends on whether starvation is the outcome.
The outcome is important. That I agree with. So it's just like a sin tax. Taxes on
the outcome will be mass starvation.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Sin taxes on like cigarettes and alcohol are always going to disproportionately impact the poor, or even sugar, we might say, right? But just because that disproportionately impacts the poor, is that a good thing or a bad thing? These are probably the people that suffer the most from those particular afflictions. Right? So
the targets is delayed issue too, right?
Obesity isn't immediate. I don't think alcohol is
to stop people from pursuing a certain form of short-term gratification at the expense of their long-term well-being.
So that exact same idea, if you believe climate models, or if you believe that we're heading in a certain direction in terms of climate, the overall performance of the planet, would be the same argument you would make for climate change.
Only if you believe that you can model economic development 100 years into the future.
We're more concerned with modeling climate development. Absolutely.
No. Okay, tell me how I'm wrong. I don't believe that, because what I see happening is two things. We have climate models that purport to explain what's going to happen over a century on the climate side, but we have models later right on top of those that claim that there's going to be these forms of disaster for human beings economically as a consequence of that climate change. And so that's like two towers of Babel stacked on top of one another. So if we don't just say, oh, the climate's going to change, there'll be no moral impetus in that. It's going to change, and that's going to be disastrous for the biosphere and for humanity. But that's an economic argument as well as a climate-based argument.
It's both, but the worst projections of what would happen if the climate took a disastrous turn are worse than the worst projections of what is our planet going to look like economically if we hardcore police, fossil.
Why would you do? Okay, but so that the distinction.
Well, between moments. Well, the argument would be that whatever pain and suffering poor people might endure right now because of a move towards green energy, that pain and suffering is going to be short-term and far less than the long-term pain and suffering. Models as well, right?
Exactly. In exactly this that I described it. Because nobody in 1890 could have predicted what was going to happen in 1990 economically.
That
did. And if we could predict so now with the innovative technology, calculate the potential impact of climate change on economic flourishing for human beings, we're deluded. No one can do that. It's worse than imagine.
You've reached the wayshrine of learning, Initiate. Are you prepared to honor the mantras of Aerils and fill your vessel with
climate
his
side, the margin
enlightenment?
of error gets rapidly to the point where it subsumes any estimate of the degree to which
Ariel,
the climate
bless
is
you,
going to
child,
transform. And
for
even
you
more
are a step
beyond the
closer to the
economics.
inner sanctum and everlasting
This is
wisdom.
another fact of the matter, though, not the philosophy of what we're talking about, it's just controlling externalities. If we think, so I'm curious, let's say that we think we can accurately predict the climate and the economic impact, and we think that the climate impact would be far worse if we don't account for that, both in terms of human conditions
I don't believe any of those presumptions.
Sure, but then if you don't, but I mean, like, obviously, if I agreed with that factual analysis, I would probably agree with you on the prescription here too, right? And I don't like none of the climate models were accurate or couldn't accurately predict it. It's the same climate.
Well, they're
Body with strength.
sufficiently accurate. That's the first thing. That's because they have a margin of error, and it's a large margin of error. They don't even model cloud coverage well. That's a big problem. They don't have the resolution. They don't have nearly the resolution to produce the accuracy that's claimed by the climate apocalypse models.
You don't even say that, but we just got another one of the hottest years on record. How many times are we going to have another hottest year on record? How many times are we going to have an increase
Are we
in
going
carbon dioxide
to
concentration?
count it during El Nino?
Okay.
And is it the hottest record where? The entire world or where? There's scientific questions about it. So if you're talking about North America, you got El Nino thing. That's going to be an issue for a little bit longer too. I feel like that just started this year. It's like 4 years of that. Which, I mean, if climate change is a thing, El Nino's just going to make that shit worse.
The time frame is incredibly important. That would be like saying, look at your,
Kind of really shoots that down. It should be worse.
And the person has lost,
If you got any snow,
in the past 6 months. And I'm just like,
this fucking
you look
winter
very
should be over
sickly.
by
And I'm
now.
like, okay, well, look at my weight fluctuation over the past 10 years. He's like, well, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that I've been serious. Well, but I'm saying, like, the support. Yeah, but I'm saying, well, you would probably specify with the beginning of the industrial age, right? That's when carbon dioxide, which is a gas system, is trapping more heat on the planet against it. Because it seems like as carbon dioxide has increased in the atmosphere, the surface temperatures have risen at a rate that is a departure from what we'd expect of 150,000 year cycles of temperature variations on the planet.
Not with that time frame.
Absolutely the case. Absolutely the case.
So, what do you mean? You just went to 160,000 year time span.
What I'm saying is that if we expect to see a temperature do this in a 150,000 year time span, in a 100 year time span, seeing it do this, that's very worrying. Now,
My man's hockey stick, the one that's under attack right now in court, by a major statistician who claimed that he falsified data. I mean, that's frightening.
I'm talking about the record temperatures that are declared, that have been declared for like the past 5 years, that have also increased with the concentration of parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that every model is perfect. Right now, sure, but right now we're like standing in traffic with our eyes closed saying the car hasn't hit me yet, so I don't think there's any coming. I think it's pretty undeniable at this point that there is an impact on climate across the planet. I just don't know
That's highly deniable. We have no idea what the impact is from. We don't know where the carbon dioxide is from. We don't know the warming of the oceans. We have terrible temperature records going back 20 years. Almost all the terrestrial temperature detection sites outside urban areas. Then you have to collect for the movement of the urban areas, and then you introduce an impact that's larger than the reported increase in temperature that you're trying to measure. This isn't gas, and there's something weird underneath it. There's something weird that isn't oriented well towards human beings underneath it. That's surprising. You see it in the future. It's pretty communist sin. And they killed a lot of people doing it. And we're walking down that same road with this insistence that, you know, we're so confused that we care about the poor 100 years from now. And if we have to wipe out some 100 years from now, well, that's a small place to be for the future utopia. We've lived that sort of thing before. And the alternative to that is for it's about having global affiliates thought out a utopian future, or even an dystopian future. And that's exactly what's happening now with organizations like the WEF. And if this wasn't immediately impacting the poor in a devastating way, they don't care about it as much, but it is. You know, we watched over the course of the last 5 years the estimates of the number of people who are in serious danger of food privation rise from 1 million to about 350 million. It's a major price to pay for a little, what would you say, for it's so narrow it can't even be measured.
I don't think the increase in hungry people on the planet is because of climate policies.
Why not?
Because I don't think that countries in Africa are being pushed away from fossil fuels. I think most developed
Of course they are. They can't even get homes from the world. There's still fossil fuel development. And there's plenty of African leaders who are screeching at the top of their lungs about that because the elites in the West decided that, well, it was okay for us to use fossil fuel so that we wouldn't have to starve to death and our children had some opportunities. I think the starving masses that are too large a load for the world anyways should use that opportunity. And that's direct policy from the UN, fostered by organizations like the WWF. They're going to have to turn to renewables. You know, well, good luck with that, because renewables have no energy density. Besides that, they're not renewable and they're not environmentally friendly. And one more thing, there's one more weird thing underneath all of this.
Okay.
Well, let's say if carbon dioxide was actually and it was genuine. Then why would the Greens, for example, in Africa, be agitated to expand the use of nuclear energy? Especially because Germany has to import it anyways, especially because France has demonstrated that it's possible. We can drive down the cost of energy with low-cost nuclear, and there'd be no pollution. And then people would have something to eat because they have enough energy. And that is what's happening. And that's one of the things that makes me extremely skeptical of the entire narrative. It's like two things. The left will sacrifice the privacy of the planet. And the left will de-industrialize even at the nuclear level, despite the fact that it devastates the poor. And that's even worse, because if you devastate the poor and you force them into a short-term orientation, in any given country where starvation beckons, for example, they will cut down all the trees and they will kill down all the animals and they will destroy the ecosphere. And so, even the standards of the people who are pushing the carbon dioxide externality control, all the consequences of that doctrine appear to be devastating even by their own measurement. Principles. We're trying to fix the environment. Well, boys and girls, it doesn't look like it's working. All you've managed to do is make energy 5 times as expensive and more polluting. You were wrong. That didn't work. And so, I can't understand. You can help me. That's why you're here today talking.
Sure. One quick thing. Let's say that everything you've said is true. What do you think is the plan then? What is the goal? What is the drive? And why push obviously horrible ideas for the planet and the poor?
That's a good question.
What do you think? Well, because you're positive again, right? So what do you think is the driver goal?
Well, I listen to what people say. Here's the most terrible thing they say. There are too many people on the planet. Okay, so who says that? I think people say that for many years. Ordinary, compassionate people. Well, there's too many people on the planet. And I think, well, for me, that's like hearing Satan himself take possession of their spine and move their mouth. It's like, okay, who are these incest people that you're so concerned about?
Yeah.
Exactly who has
What are you
to
going to
go,
do about
and
it?
when, and why, and
Yeah.
how, and who's going to make that decision? And even if you're not consciously aiming at that, you were the one who uttered the words. You're the ones who muttered the phrase. What makes you think that the thing that possessed you to make you utter that words isn't aiming at exactly what you just declared? So that's a terrible vision. But when you look at what happens in genocidal societies,
In other words, Destiny says you're possessed by the devil.
usually with the utopian vision at hand,
Damage, man.
the consequences.
May Ariel's brilliance illuminate
So
your
why
path.
should we assume that something horrible isn't lurking like that right now? Especially when we have pushed a few 100 million of people back into absolute poverty when we were doing a pretty damn good job of getting rid of that. I just don't understand what's happening in Germany or in the UK. Like, it's insane. Like, look, man, if they would have got rid of the nuclear plants and made energy 5 times as expensive, and the consequence would have been they weren't burning lignite coal as backup, and the unit fraction of energy, of pollution per unit of energy had plummeted, you would say, well, people, but at least air's cleaner. It's like, no, air's worse, and everyone's poor. So, like, explain to me how the hell the left will be anti-nuclear. Okay. I don't understand it at all.
Gotcha. All right.
Well,
RDL's warmth imbue your body with strength.
You start to apply like prescriptions. So maybe I'm religious, maybe I analyze society and I see that particular TV shows make premarital sex. So my societal prescription, we should ban these TV shows, right? Ideally, this is how you imagine the process is. What might happen, of course, from all too often is what people do is they join social groups, and then with those social groups, they parasite, I call it, a constellation of beliefs. And this constellation of beliefs, instead of rationally building on each of these, you basically get this like Jenga tower that is like floating over a table, and every block is like supporting itself, and no real part of the tower can be interested on one piece of all falls apart. Right? They become like very stuck in all of this combined constellation stuff, and none of it is really given like any analysis. You can really push anybody from one way or another in terms of like reevaluating the part of the constellation. I would show it up. I would really done together. It's the foundation of our mental and physical health. You must have a consistent, one-kind in the right place. It's the vision. I don't think when it sounds, say, violating fundamental beliefs, it's a right increase in anxiety, right, and a decrease in the possibility of constipation. Some people just very hard against that, which is exactly the phenomenon that you're describing. Yeah, okay, I agree with what you said. Well, here's my issue. I don't know where it's from. Like right now, like Skyrim progressive, I break really hard progressive tradition, like Howard comes to the right, and basically everything you guys are doing with indigenous people is insane, including the complete mass grave votes. I think that I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. I have the least I can bring from my side, you know, pretty hardcore, because I am not like leading some political ideology. One of the worries me with this publishing of these things is that sometimes when it comes to evaluating people policy or political policy, you know, like part of the
Right.
Average rise in temperatures. People all around the world are observing this. In some places more than others. If you live in Seattle 20 years ago, your apartment building was built with air conditioning units. You can feel that now. If you live in a place in London and you've never had an air conditioner before, now that's not acceptable. I think that people on the ground into their changes. And in China, where the last changes, if they do something more precise about it, I see that for really
the economic models are not sufficiently accurate to calculate out the consequences of climate change over a century.
I like the comparison because economic models can't predict individual stocks, but they do predict the rough rise of the market.
Cataclysmic collapse.
So even with the cataclysmic collapse accounted for, you're going to see about 7% returns on average with inflation over 50%.
The very sophisticated.
And now with that climate change, that's going to influence climate and weather though, right? And climate is going to tell you the temperature is going to change, and it might tell you how the temperature is very good 1 year, 10 years, and it has to do with climate and weather. That's the only thing like artificial factors. It is a hypothetical, but if you guys are seeing more and more data every year, then it's going to be higher, so I mean, it's
Let's have one of our clouded presuppositions. Now, one of the things that...
There are some things that we've gotten as a result of investing in green energy that have been good. So, for instance, power and solar energy has dropped dramatically in the United States. That's been anything thought possible. That's been solar energy is like competitive for meeting fossil fuels. In certain areas. If you're focusing on the solar panel stuff, you're literally seeing something that's not. Well, I think still is, but not a nuclear phenomenon. That's why I think that there are places where I can see this kind of stuff solar panels in Seattle. So you might not have as much like we're in New York City, but older Germany, sure. I think there are also other issues that are coming up that are obfuscating our ability to evaluate what's being caused by green energy versus not. When we look at energy increases in Germany, I think there's a similar constellation around nuclear energy. People don't want nuclear energy because they think of nukes, and they think of nuclear meltdown, and they think of Chernobyl, and they think of Fukushima, and they think of atomic bombs, and that's it, and that's stupid. And I agree with you. But nuclear energy is a totally viable alternative to other forms of energy.
And why does the radical left oppose it? Do you think it's just this bad CEO?
For the right of what's vaccine, because it sounds scary, it's a big thing, they don't trust it.
Well, they think there's a reason you just trust vaccines. It's called the deal. Well, because they weren't imposed by force.
You have a nuclear power plant, that's imposed by force too, no? You don't get to choose your energy before you live in a country. You just prefer the light switch and Chernobyl that melts down in your hotel, right?
That's bad. That's no. No. Right. God damn, son. You could have not taken a shot. No one forced you to take a shot, you bitch. I ain't take a shot. What a lame argument, Mr. Peterson. God damn. He's serious too about that. He's like, oh, that's my argument. Right. That's what I've just said. Why is the dude so worried about Germany? He's always worried about global shit and telling people not to get into global shit. All the time. Germany, America, dude's Canadian. I don't think I went down. Let's take a look. Fucking knew it, bitch. No. Margaret Sanger and eugenics. It's been done several times over by other. Because the world population doesn't like it. You so much don't like it, you can't even see it at all. I mean, it's a thing, man. There's people that are doing that. Is it like some world dominating power thing? I don't think so, but who knows, right? everyone's willing to talk about it, so maybe. His cousin or something like that, right?
That'll teach you.
I think that Hitler's motives and everything he was trying to do wasn't the secret.
Right, that's the problem, though, at the same time. I'm going to put this out there. The thing is, if they're going to do it again, they're not going to do it in the open. It didn't work in the open. That's a big S. Let's hope not.
Like, that's kind of interesting. Or, wow, he talks about this a lot of time off, but it's just a coincidence.
Yes. Yeah, you can. The fact is, they don't have Christ. Neither side does. Facts. Yeah. They're down with that. Yeah, he's right. Yeah. 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 Their beliefs, yeah. Yeah. Tyranny on both sides. Yes, sir. So I don't like either side. Admit it. Boys.
this has to be real. It's a very tricky exception. But let me tell you a story and tell me what you think about this. Because I think it's very relevant to the concern that you just expressed. And I don't believe that the conservatives are necessarily any less by the calling of power than the left. That's my theory.
Oh, God. Yeah, he was left. Hitler was on the left. And right. Yeah, he was both. That's what y'all are trying to do right now. The first bit of the word. Uh-huh. reason. Now you sound a Confederate, son. Watch out. And he even said, "Come, you hear that? Confederacy." That's what you choose. I'd rather not, though. I don't know why you'd want to. Uh-oh. Almost over. I don't know. Thought that stupid hole. But this is the wrong fucking one. That's not looking good. Yeah, kind of.
Before just conversation, although this was start, we have to go back to inhabiting similar areas, we have to go back to inhabiting similar media landscapes. I think the issue that we're running into right now with everything else is people live in separate realities at the moment, such that if we even describe basic realities, how many immigrants came to the United States last year, actually an actual number that we can know. Somebody, the actual number.
How would you know? How would you fucking know how many people snuck in? By definition, if they were successful. Food. Right. It's a fucking impossibility. By definition.
These Falmer, they're frozen in the ice. I wonder how long it's been. So cold. What is it? All right, let's see what you have.
Websites, emails, or PDFs into audio format that you can listen to while on the go. The listening experience. It allows you to indulge the app, to read your favorite.
What do we know in terms of vaccine related? No, that's not my question. Excess deaths in Europe are up about 20%, and they have been since the end of the COVID pandemic. Really high debate. 20? I'll check afterwards, but is this including like the Ukrainian war with Russia? No, it's not including the Ukrainian war. Okay. No. Are you implying that you think it's because of vaccines? I'm not implying anything. I'm saying what the excess deaths are. Well, what's your take on what's causing it? You said that, and you said that in a counter to me describing mRNA vaccines. You said, well, the distinctions that the vaccines are causing.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be the exact right.
Some combination of factors. And one possibility is that the healthcare systems were so disrupted by our insane focus on the COVID epidemic that we're still popping up as a consequence of that.
except that's tracing back through COVID as well.
What now?
Just post-COVID. This is COVID. Okay. Right, you're fine. Right, you're fine.
Do you need something? This better not be all the things you just can't be bothered with.
The fact that you're speaking to them right now seems like sure, but I think that's an accurate thing. You can Google it. I'm pretty sure there are like 3 different news organizations that track that. That's what I'm okay, well, so what if relatively straightforward hypothesis that it's a consequence of exhaustion and of your physical mistake the cost of cancer treatment instead of suicidality and alcoholism as a consequence of
Where'd you come from?
Oh no!
Get it now while we can. You're dead.
What?
To help it reduces increases irreversible that reduces death and reduces transmission. Hopefully, when don't get sick, we don't get sick for fun. All 3 of those things vaccinated. First variant, and then the Delta variant. Hopefully, that's they were tested. Those things were used for like 700,000 deaths. Fast on it. Oh.
fast, Lana.
Where'd you come from? Now he's cool with force. They changed the name of vaccine. No. Yeah. Time to eat some food.